we're gonna jump that video that Hirohei put out. This is something about Japan mercilessly fighting back. Now, I don't know if this is in regards to sort of what happened at his collective shout, talking about how all anime basically is exploitative, or if this is something in regarding to UK law, because the thumbnail says it had something to do with the UK. But I'm curious, like, this is the first time we're hearing about Japan jumping into the censorship thing, where they're fighting back against censorship. So I'm curious. And no, Rogue, we're not. That only just came out today. You know, I wait a couple days for that. All right, so let's take a look and see what this is about.
Hey guys, welcome back. So the other day I referenced Peak over here on Twitter, Namamoto from Drama Queen saying she can save the UK. If you know, you know. Number one alien hater right here. But it turns out that she's actually needed back in Japan once again. As we have breaking, thousands of locals marched in Osaka yesterday demanding an end to immigration.
Shit. Damn.
Another account would respond to that saying, why is everybody so against immigration now? Getting responses such as, it's called paying attention. When guests show up and trash all over your house, insist they have more of a right to be there than you do, and rob the neighbors, smart people start to notice. Others.
Okay, is there an immigration problem in Japan? I was unaware of a immigration problem occurring in Japan. Yeah, Mecca the same. Like, I had not heard about this. Clearly I am surprised. I am. I know they had a problem with the tourists I knew about Caucasian. The tourists I knew about, but tourism is not immigration. That's the thing. Like, the tourists had a problem in where was it? It's that one street, was it in Osaka, I think? Where it was the tourists were basically getting in the way of the geisha to get their pictures, and they were like Kyoto. Thank you, Kuji. I could not remember the street. Yep, it's the street in Kyoto where they would get in the way of the geisha when the geisha were trying to just function and get pictures with them, and they were burning their kimonos with like cigarettes. And that's why they like shut down that street in Kyoto, so no tourists are allowed in there anymore. And why they're basically trying to why they started barring them from holy sites, because tourists would literally come in and carve their fucking names into these buildings that are like centuries old. So that's tourism though. And that I knew about. I knew about the problem that they were having with tourism. I didn't know that they were having a problem with immigration. This one is new to me.
Saying developed countries with low birth rates are rightfully worried about an influx of foreigners from the third world overwhelming their native population and destroying their culture. And simple, immigration equals native population replacement. When the natives are gone, a new government, culture, and country will be created. It is the modern way of invading a country without a full-scale violent war. These are, of course, the opinions of some. Let me know what you think in the comments, and there's still a lot we gotta go over. Another user would say, I don't know. And post this clip of what seems to be a nuisance tourist, one of those nuisance tourists that become so prevalent in Japan.
Oh my god.
I don't think this person's actually living there, but who knows? Either way, it's clear that this person doesn't respect.
Yeah, we can thank Johnny fuck him in the ass Somali for this one. We can absolutely thank him for creating this kind of streamer in fucking Japan. Not even like Logan Paul Caucasian. Logan Paul didn't really do this shit. Johnny did. Johnny's the one that basically was just fucking around like this and made a bunch of money on it before he started getting booted off platforms. And so now people are going, hey, I can make money too. And they're jumping in and doing this shit. And yeah, this guy, he's a tourist. He's probably not an immigrant. He's a tourist.
The people of Japan or the country itself, and instead just tries to use them to make content where I guess this idea of content is making yourself look like a moron in public or something. I don't really get it, but hey, I guess that's what this guy really likes to do. Great life, bro. I mean, seriously, imagine trying to aspire to be like Johnny Somali. Of all the things you could do, you see that.
Well, Reaper, I'm aware of that. However, what I was saying is what Logan Paul didn't popularize this type of content. I'm not making a claim about which one is worse. I'm saying that when Logan Paul did not popularize doing this in Japan. Johnny Somali did. Yeah.
Bro. I mean, seriously, imagine trying to aspire to be like Johnny Somali. Of all the things you could do, you see that dude, you're like, I want to be like him. And so we're also seeing protests break out saying dismantle JICA, which is the Japan International Cooperation Agency, and adding the text no to immigration. Let's watch this 16-second clip next. So presumably the building that they're outside might be JICA headquarters or some sort of office related to JICA, excuse me. Responses to this one include, they are steadily devising plans behind the scenes. Globalization is not something the Japanese want. On the contrary, it puts women and girls at risk. Honestly,
I got to agree with that. Out of all of the, there's already a how can I put this? There is already a stereotype that exists regarding Japanese women and girls being very meek and very submissive. And I can 100% see immigrants coming over and trying to use that to their advantage in all sorts of horrific ways. So absolutely, I could see it putting women and girls in Japan at risk. I 100% can see that.
Honestly, I think we should stop funding third world countries. It just makes them dependent on us. As the saying goes, give a man a fish. If any, it'll only push the Japanese to be more patriotic for their nation, and part of that patriotism is that they better come up with solutions to their native birth rate decline. Re-immigration is the most humane option, and it's not that they can't build their own countries. They tear down any country that they migrate to. Once again, these are just a...
The last one, yeah. We've been seeing too much evidence of like this is the whole thing that I've said before is, the migrants that go to other countries that come from third world countries that they claim that they're going to these more westernized or easternized in the case of like Japan, maybe Korea. They claim that they're going to these countries because they're asylum seekers. That's the buzzword now. They are asylum seekers. They're trying to get a better life because where they came from is so horrible and they want a better life. And yet, when they achieve this life in the modern Western or Eastern country, they treat it like the shithole that they came from. If they were actually trying to escape from a horrible circumstances in the country that they left, why would they try to turn the country that they arrived in into the same thing that they just tried to escape from? That's why people are so suspicious, and why why there's all this conversation about the silent invasion with immigrants from these third world countries, like in the Middle East or like East India. Is they're talking about it because they literally go into these modernized countries and treat them like the shithole that they treat it like the shithole they claim that they were just escaping from. And that's why that doesn't make sense. If you talk to an actual immigrant, sorry, let me rephrase. If you talk to an immigrant that actually was trying to escape from poor countries, poor living conditions, poor government in their third world country, and they actually sought asylum in a modern Western world or Eastern world, they do the exact opposite of what we're seeing with a lot of these migrants now. They don't act like they're still living in their third world country. They adopt the culture that they have moved into because they want a better life. And they obviously came to this modern Western or Eastern land because it is presenting a better life. So they will integrate themselves into that society to live that better life. They will not enter into that country and then act like they're still living in their shithole. That's not what an actual migrant with legitimate intentions of trying to get away from their shithole do. That is where the distinction is. It's like they're not going to try and force the land that they've come into to change to fit their needs when they were apparently just trying to escape from them. A migrant that legitimately wants to, migrate into a Western or Eastern land and become a part of the culture won't do that. They'll do the exact opposite. They might maintain their sense of self in their religion or some aspects of their culture, but they're not going to deliberately try to sabotage the culture that they have immigrated into. They won't do that because by doing so, they're creating the very thing they ran away from. And people that legitimately migrate from those areas don't want to do that. And that's where the conspiracy theory comes that this is an invasion. No, sorry. Let me rephrase. Not a conspiracy theory. It's where the thought process that this is an invasion and not legitimate migration comes from.
Few comments. Let me know what you think. And we've got another video clip here of some more of the protests. I'm kind of just speeding through this one. You get the idea. And then we have this tweet about another complete loser right here. It says Australian tourist in Japan returns to another cemetery to pull apart graves and mock the dead.
Fucking hell.
Yo, Bonnie Tokyo, have it on you. Why the chicks got your...
When you have no life and you're a complete loser, you become...
Again, I'm going to point out, yes, it's very illegal in Japan. Yeah, yes, he needs to get the living shit kicked out of him. But I am going to point out, this is a tourist. This is not an immigrant. That distinction does need to be made clear because the discussion here is about immigration and he is a tourist, not an immigrant. And that is a difference. That is a distinctive difference that needs to be made. Yeah, well, slap his ass in jail, take the fuck out of him, absolutely, because he wants to desecrate graves. Absolutely. But I am all about context. You guys know that. Context is very important. And that's why I want to make that distinction that this is a tourist and not an immigrant. So again, context on this one is important.
This guy.
Hearts on sticks. Obsessed with dicks like you can't fit.
Okay, that's enough of that. What the frick? What a creep.
Thank you,
and
hero.
There's apparently more too. This account also saying, in case you missed his first round of antics. Well, I did not see this. I did miss this. Let's take a look at this 34-second one. Australian tourist in Japan goes to a cemetery and decides to help himself to the offerings left for the dead.
There's a cemetery here with a whole bunch of dead people. Oh, look at this guy.
Fucking hell.
Full can of Kieran.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh
my gosh.
Fucking
Absolute
hell.
scumbag.
Thankfully, he's been arrested.
Bro, these people come to Japan, one of the most peaceful countries out there, and then they do stuff like this. They act like they're so hard, but everyone knows they're complete cowards. And
I mean, this is what's going to cause Japan to basically lock out tourists from the country. The way this shit keeps happening, they're going to actually basically just lock out tourists and say, nope, no more tourists. And it's going to turn Japan into a nationalist country, is what this is going to do. They're going to close in. They're going to become a nationalist country. They will know all. They're going to like lock out more and more things for tourists because of fuckers like these.
And there's no it's no surprise, rather, that people in Japan are so sick of this stuff that they're starting to push back against it more and more and more. They ain't having it, which is completely justified. Oh my gosh, dude. I can't believe what I'm watching right now. I'm gonna skip the end. He's like burping all disgustingly, and I don't know if he then throws the can, like the clip ends too early, but it looks like he may just like throw the can on the floor, or he takes it with him when it's empty. I don't know for sure. Either way, this guy is a complete loser and a complete coward. And yeah, like
Hopefully
I said, it's totally understandable why people in Japan want their government to take harsher action against people like this. And that takes us here. Japanese schoolgirl speaks at anti-migrant invasion protest, saying, "It's painful that I can't reassure my parents' generation, and I wonder what will happen to my children's future. Give us our country back." She also goes on to criticize the current Prime Minister Ishiba's policy on immigration.
日本は単一民族国家です。それを今の石破さんの勝手な政策では言えなくなってしまいます。怖いです。
And she's crying while she talks about her fear of Japan becoming a more predatory nation, though she uses a bit of different wording there, as you can see in the subtitles. And these all...
Like, okay, again, I'm unfamiliar with this occurring in Japan. Are we seeing an influx of basically Middle Eastern and East Indian immigration into Japan? Because, like, granted, the Western culture, there are some fucking sick people in Western culture, as we just saw from the last video. But though the ones from that culture are the ones that are more, shall we say, predisposed to it from what we have been seeing. Okay, well, first of all, Fat Man, the Yakuza don't exist anymore. The Yakuza is gone. They don't exist anymore. As far as the cops, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, my guess is the people of Japan are looking what's happening in the UK, and they can see that starting to happen in their country. And that's probably where this came from. That's probably why she said this, because they're seeing it happen in the UK. They're seeing the same type of migrants coming into Japan. And they know the direction it's going to go, because it's only going to go in one direction. And the fact that this is basically, when you see this level of migration in a country from a specific geographical location, and it always goes in the same direction, that's pattern recognition. You're seeing this in pattern recognition. So why are the governments of these nations that are allowing these individuals coming from these geographic locations to continue to come in? Why are they allowing it to happen? Oh yeah, Kaibo, it's happening all throughout the Western world. It's happening in the UK, it's happening in the EU, it's happening in Canada, it's happening in the US, it's happening everywhere. This is not a single country problem anymore. It's not. This is, you have to remember, the area in question that this is originating from has some of the highest populations on the planet. Okay? There's and it's constantly growing because of all the assault resulting in children. They have a lot of people that can be spreading out to all corners of the globe, claiming asylum status, claiming refugee status. So, yeah, there's a pattern here. It's the US is the one that's actually really clamping down and starting to try and push things in the different direction. And unfortunately, I think the US is the only one that's really going to be doing it. We're not really seeing it in the other Western countries, unfortunately. There was a clip on Twitter that's been making the rounds that has actually gotten the attention of the OPP, which is the Ontario Provincial Police, about 4 or 5 I'm not sure if they're Middle Eastern or East Indian, gentlemen that decided it would be fun to record themselves going to some location in Ontario and just start blowing off rounds with shotguns and rifles, one of which is an illegal firearm. One of them actually had like an SKS or something with an illegally sized mag, and were just blowing off rounds. And they recorded it and posted it, and it made the rounds. And now the Ontario Provincial Police are getting involved and might be looking for these guys to arrest them for all of 5 minutes before they realize, oh yeah, they're brown. We can just let them go and not push any charges. Oh yeah, Nick, it's on Twitter. It'd be very easy to find. It's yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. Oh yeah, it's Andrea, are you talking about that? Are you talking about the one guy that deliberately walked into the woods? He was in Nova Scotia, I believe. He walked into the woods, came back, and like caught a fine because he needed to receive a fine in order to be able to fight it in court. I'm thinking that's the only target. Is the man was a military veteran. He wanted to fight the ban on walking in the woods, but he couldn't because the last time he tried to do it, he didn't actually have a charge to fight. And so when they did the ban this time about literally just walking in the woods, he went to the environmental office, said, I'm going to walk in the woods so you guys can issue me the fine because I need the fine so I can take it to court and actually fight it in court. And he walked in the woods, came back, and they issued him a $25,000 fine plus fees. Turned out to be a $29,000 fine. If that's the one they're talking about, yes, I've discussed that before.
Awful actions by certain migrants is already something that we're seeing happening all across the UK. She says that she believes the people of Japan have a responsibility across any generation to change what's going on. And then she starts this chant saying, if I say, give me my country back, please say, give it back. Elsewhere in Japan, we have Japanese news reporting on the state of Japan's waterways as foreigners continue to turn them into rubbish dumps. Locals have had enough.
And this is a problem that is not only in Japan. We are seeing this in other countries as well. That people coming from these particular geographic locations do not think throwing trash into waterways is a problem. Like, these are people that literally come from a country of pollution where they pollute their waterways by just dumping trash into their waterways. Yeah, it's totally normal. Their children play in it, for God's sake. And they go to these other countries and they just go, we'll do it here too. And again, I'm going to point this out. Immigrants that are actually trying to escape from these hellholes to live a better life won't do this. The ones that are trying to invade and convert the country into what they came from are the ones that will do this. The ones that will do this are not actually immigrants. They're not actually trying to ingratiate themselves and assimilate themselves into the country of which they have relocated to. The ones that are throwing trash all over the place, committing sexual assaults to young women, to girls, just want to bring the shithole to Western countries. And that's why people are calling it an invasion. And why Japan is calling it an invasion.
There are no subtitles, English subtitles on this one, so just kind of skipping through here. You can see what's going on, and we'll move on to the next part of the video. And then we got another one of these losers. Caption, another foreigners caused a ruckus on a Japanese train. The influencer also claimed that it's time for Japan to let go of outdated manners. This guy's got some nerve, saying, do you agree? This man has the audacity to talk about manners as he's doing this in a train. Like, what the frick's the matter with you, dude? It's like blasting his music. I'm not gonna play it. It might be copyrighted, but yeah, he's like blasting his music, causing a ruckus, again, making himself look like a moron. These people all think they're the main character. This clip has also been making the rounds, getting over 2.7 million views on Twitter.com. Yeah, believe it or not, this is not London, guys. This is not the UK, if you get the joke.
Hey. Okay, now this is, yes, this is Japan. This is in Japan. Now we are seeing only a small cluster here. I'm wondering if we're gonna be seeing more than just this small cluster.
The joke. This is apparently Osaka, Japan. We'll play like the last 5 seconds or so of this clip.
Oh, wow.
A few more there. And then we're gonna end with this clip, going back over to the UK for just a second.
Oh, for God's sake.
And I'll probably talk about this in another video related to the UK coming up, so I don't just only bury the lead at the end of this video. But I did want to show you this because this was so freaking crazy. He says the UK was built by his ancestors.
Xanax? No. I'll back it up a little bit. That looks like I think that looks like a combination of Indian and maybe Pakistan, based on the clothing and headwear. It looks like it might be a combination of both, because the clothing looks like it could be both. So yeah.
UK coming up, so I don't just only bury the lead at the end of this video. But I did want to show you this because this was so freaking crazy. He says the UK was built by his ancestors.
The reason why you're here today is because of what your people did to my people. You don't do anything for this country. You're a disgrace.
Again. This is why education is needed. Motherfucker, slavery existed within your own people. Okay? Your ancestors sold your ancestors into slavery. That's history. That's factual. Did people that are like, you know, oh, the UK enslaved black people? Motherfucker, who do you think sold them to you in the first? Who do you think sold them to them in the first place? And by the way, what are you trying to say? Like, the UK was built by my ancestors. Does that mean does that mean that you want to take over the UK because your ancestors supposedly built the UK? Wait, no. What's his education level? What kind of education did he receive? Because they're not teaching this to people. They're not teaching legitimate history. They're not teaching people, particularly black people, the correct history that African tribes sold other African tribes into slavery to the white man. It's not like the white man came over and plundered Africa and took people as slaves. It was African tribes enslaving other African tribes and then selling them to the white man for money to better themselves. That's factual. And you may not be comfortable with the fact that your own people sold your own people into slavery, but facts don't give a fuck about your feelings on this. This is fact. Okay? And yeah, and slavery en masse still exists today in all over the world. Slavery exists all over the world, but by the way, the UK as well as every modern Western country has outlawed slavery. A long fucking time ago. In fact, the UK outlawed it before the United States did. The UK was one of the first countries to actually outlaw slavery in the first fucking place. But no, your great, however many greats that might have come over from Africa as a slave, you're going to claim that you're oppressed when slavery's been illegal for generations. Go fuck yourself with this, you attention-seeking cock gobbler.
You're a disgrace! The reason why you're in these streets were built by my ancestors.
What? What?
Yes, because he's black, the streets were built by his ancestors. He has hard proof of this. His hard proof is that he's black, and so, of course, his ancestors built them. Again, this is what happens when you don't properly educate people.
These streets points like apparently.
And yeah, Vespasian, to your point, where it says there are still some nations that lost slavery. It was only in
Actually, UK was not built off slaves for the fact that one of our kings made the law that every slave was set free in UK and that any slave that touches English solely is automatic freed from his slave masters.
Reach heckle. In a now, Heckle, I don't know if he would have actually said that as calmly, but in a calm British tone, our resident UK, or one of our resident UK strays, just verbally bitch slapped this punk. Right fucking there. Again, Heckle, please feel free to agree if you want. This person has not been properly educated. This young man has not received proper education and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I will repeat it, Heckle, if you will allow. I will repeat this, and this is coming from someone who resides in the UK, where this person is saying that the UK was built by his ancestors. I will quote Heckle right now. The UK was not built off of slaves for the fact that one of our kings made the law that every slave was set free in the UK and that any slave that touches English soil is automatically freed from his slave masters. So, yeah. Go fuck yourself, kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
It's like right there in the UK. These streets were built by my ancestors. What the heck? Bro's living his own headcanon.
These streets were built.
And what I was going to say, in response to Vespasian saying that there's some nations still lost slavery. Yeah, point of fact, while this guy's bitching and moaning about like UK was built on slaves, Africa did not outlaw slavery until something like 2018 or 2019. Slavery was still legal in Africa until either 2018 or 2019. There is, in one particular African nation, they crowed about the fact that they just opened their first, like, sexual crimes laboratory for investigating of sex crimes against women, with a single female officer being the sole officer in this unit. And they're crowing about it. That it just happened in, like, I think it was in 2025, maybe 2024. Was it Somalia? Okay, that was in Somalia. They have a single unit to investigate sex crimes against women that is like a basically bare bones lab, and the investigations are being conducted by a singular female officer. That's it. But yeah, the UK was built by his ancestors. Yeah.
By my ancestors.
What? Yeah, we're gonna end with that one. Yeah, it's freaking hilarious. Although all the stuff happening in the UK and Japan is also very sad for the people living there. The citizens living there. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff in the comments. And thank you for tuning in to yet another video. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. It helps out greatly. And consider leaving a comment as well, as that's also more important than ever now on YouTube apparently. So yeah, I'll see you in the comments here. And in the next one, have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, it's ramping up. This is seriously ramping up across the world. We're seeing this across the world right now. and it's very quickly coming to a boiling point. The UK, my suspicion is probably the UK is going to be the ones leading things when the boil over happens. Depending on what happens in the UK is how much of the rest of the world may follow in terms of this current issue. And let's see, Heckel as a follow-up here saying, it was King George III in 1807 who signed the Slave Trade Act that outlawed slavery across the whole of the British Empire. So slavery was outlawed in the UK back in 1800. And he's going to try and say that that London and the UK was built by his ancestors. Go fuck yourself, kid. Open a goddamn history book.